Welcome to The Quiet Engineer. Tonight, we're going to take a slow journey together through the hidden world inside the machines that surround us. The computers, the devices, the quiet minds of silicon and light that have become so ordinary, we forget they are there at all. There's no urgency here, no need to remember. Just listen. Let the words wash over you like a gentle tide. Pulling back, returning, pulling back again. We're going to explore 86 quiet facts about computers, about digital technology, but we're not here to learn. We're here to drift, to let the mind wander through landscapes of memory and electricity, through vast scales of time, through the patient evolution of human ingenuity. These facts are like smooth stones collected from a riverbed, each one shaped by time, each one complete. You don't need to hold on to them. Just feel their weight and let them go. Close your eyes if you wish. Get comfortable. There's nowhere to be, nothing to solve, nothing to fix. Just listen, and let's begin. Fact 1. The first computer weighed as much as an ancient temple. The first electronic computer, ENIAC, weighed 30 tons. 30 tons. Imagine that for a moment. The weight of 5 elephants. The weight of a small house. The weight of monument. When ENIAC was built in 1946, it filled an entire room. Not a small room, but a vast space, 1,800 square feet, like a cathedral calculation. And within this cathedral stood 18,000 vacuum tubes, each one glowing like a candle, each one generating heat, transforming electricity into thought. Think of it as a temple built to mathematics. The ancient Egyptians built pyramids from millions of stone blocks, each one carried by human hands. The engineers of 1946 built ENIAC from thousands of glass tubes, each one a tiny, fragile miracle. And like those ancient temples, ENIAC was built to last for centuries in memory, even though the machine itself would become obsolete in less than a decade. 30 tons, a monument to the beginning of something vast. Something that would eventually fit in the palm of your hand. But we'll get there slowly. There's no rush. Fact 2, the cost of thought. ENIAC cost almost $500,000 to build in 1946. Now, if we adjust for inflation, that's about $7 million today. $7 million for a machine that could perform 5,000 calculations per second. 5,000, a number that seems almost quaint now, almost gentle. Your smartphone, resting silently on your bedside table, can perform billions of calculations in the same single second. Billions. The comparison is so vast, it almost loses meaning, like comparing a candle to the sun. But here's what's beautiful about ENIAC's cost, about its extravagance. Someone believed it was worth it. Someone looked at this enormous, expensive, power-hungry machine and said, yes, this is the future. This temple of electricity is worth building. They couldn't have known what would come next. They couldn't have imagined the world you live in now, where computation is so cheap, so abundant, that we throw it away on games, on photographs of meals, on watching videos of cats. But they built it anyway. They built the first temple. And from that temple, an entire civilization would grow. $7 million. 5,000 calculations. One moment at a time. Fact 3. The computer that predicted the weather of change. ENIAC's first serious task, its first true purpose, was to calculate the feasibility of the hydrogen bomb. It seems almost poetic, doesn't it? That the first electronic brain, the first machine that could think in numbers faster than any human, was asked to contemplate destruction, to run the mathematics of fusion, to predict whether we could harness the power of stars. But ENIAC did more than weapons calculations. It predicted weather patterns. It calculated the trajectories of artillery shells. It solved equations that would have taken human mathematicians years to complete in just hours. Think of it as the first oracle of the modern age. Like the oracle at Delphi, people came with questions too complex for mortal minds. And ENIAC, humming in its climate-controlled room, glowing with 18,000 points of light, would answer. It couldn't explain its answers in words. It could only offer numbers. pure, cold, precise numbers. But those numbers changed everything. The hydrogen bomb was built. The weather became predictable. The future became calculable. And we've been calculating ever since, one quiet fact at a time. Fact 4, the sound of thinking. The vacuum tubes inside ENIAC would fail every 2 days on average. Every 2 days. Imagine maintaining a machine, a thinking machine, that breaks down twice a week. Imagine the patience required, the diligence, the quiet determination. When a vacuum tube failed, and they failed constantly like candles burning out, the entire machine would stop. 18,000 tubes, and if just one went dark, the calculation ended. The thought was interrupted. Engineers would walk through the rows of equipment, listening for the absence of sound, for the one tube that had gone silent. It was like tending to a vast garden of glass and light, checking each plant, each flower, replacing the dead with the living. And here's what's remarkable, what's almost dreamlike about this fact. Those engineers never considered it a burden. They considered it necessary, the cost of thinking, the price of calculation, because even a machine that breaks down every 2 days is still faster than a human mathematician who never breaks down at all. The vacuum tubes would fail, and the engineers would replace them, and the calculations would continue, interrupted but never stopped, like breathing, like a heartbeat with occasional skips. The machine thought, failed, was repaired, and thought again. Fact 5, the memory of mercury. The first computer memory, the first place where a computer could store its thoughts, used mercury. Liquid mercury, heavy, silver, poisonous. Sound waves, acoustic pulses, would travel through tubes of mercury. The waves would bounce back and forth, carrying information in their vibrations, like messages in a bottle, cast across a liquid metal sea. This was called delay line memory. The information would delay, suspended in the mercury, waiting to be read again, waiting to be remembered. Think about that for a moment. The first memories computers had were not solid. They were not permanent. They were waves, traveling through poison, arriving just in time to be useful, and then traveling again. It's almost biological, isn't it? Like the way our own memories work. Electrical signals traveling through the fluid medium of our brains. Arriving, fading, arriving again, each time slightly different than before. The mercury would sit in its tubes, heavy and patient, carrying waves of thought back and forth, until the computer no longer needed to remember. And then, the waves would stop, and the memory would be gone. Like all memories, temporary, precious because they don't last forever. Fact 6, the rooms that breathe cold air. ENIAC generated 174 kilowatts of heat. 174 kilowatts. That's enough heat to warm 20 average homes in winter. Enough heat that when ENIAC was running, you could feel it from across the room. A wall of warmth, radiating from 18,000 vacuum tubes, each one burning like a tiny sun. The machine required its own dedicated cooling system. Industrial fans, air conditioning units that ran constantly day and night, pushing cold air through the room, fighting against the heat. And when ENIAC was turned on, the lights in the surrounding neighborhood would dim, just slightly, just enough to notice. The machine was so hungry for electricity, so demanding, that it would pull power from the grid like a great beast, drinking. Think of it as a dragon that needed to be fed, constantly, expensively. The electricity bill alone was extraordinary, but the dragon could think. The dragon could calculate, and that was worth any cost. Engineers would work in shifts, monitoring the temperature, monitoring the tubes, wearing light clothing even in winter, because inside ENIAC's room, it was always summer, always warm, always humming with the sound of forced air and electric thought. The rooms breathe cold air to keep the hot mind alive. And in those rooms, the future was calculated, one warm moment at a time. Fact 7. The first bug was real. The first computer bug was an actual bug. In 1947, a moth flew into the Harvard Mark II computer. The moth, delicate, perhaps attracted by the warmth, landed on a relay. And when the relay tried to close, To complete its circuit, the moth's body blocked the connection. The computer stopped working. A calculation failed, and the engineers went looking, checking relays, checking connections, until they found it. A moth, wings spread, trapped between metal contacts. Grace Hopper, one of the programmers, taped the moth into the logbook. She wrote beside it, "First actual case of bug being found." It's such a gentle story, isn't it? The word bug had been used before to describe technical problems, but this was the first time a bug was actually a bug. That moth is still preserved, still taped in that logbook, still visible after more than 70 years. A tiny creature that became part of history, simply by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. We still use that word, bug, when software fails, when code breaks, when something goes wrong in the invisible world of computation. We say there's a bug, and perhaps somewhere in the code, there's still a moth. A ghost moth, trapped between the relays of language, forever. Fact 8, the weight of numbers. The first hard disk drive, introduced by IBM in 1956, could store 5 megabytes of data. 5 megabytes. That's approximately one high-quality photograph today. One song, 1 minute of video. But in 1956, 5 megabytes was extraordinary. It was vast. It was revolutionary. And the machine that could store this much data, it weighed more than a ton. Over 2,000 pounds. It was the size of 2 refrigerators standing side by side. And it cost $50,000, which would be nearly $500,000 today. Think about that ratio. 2,000 pounds to store what now fits on a chip smaller than your fingernail. A chip so light, you wouldn't notice if it was sitting on your hand. But that first hard disk drive, the IBM 305 RAMAC, was a marvel. Inside were 50 magnetic disks, each 2 feet in diameter, spinning constantly. The read-write heads would move across the spinning disks like a record player, but reading and writing data instead of music. It sounded like a machine, a real, physical machine. You could hear it thinking, the heads moving, the disks spinning, the weight of memory turning. Now memory is silent, invisible, weightless. But once it had mass, once it had presence. Fact 9, the keyboard's inefficient design. The QWERTY keyboard layout, the one you've used countless times, was designed to slow typists down. Yes, slow them down. In the 1870s, when typewriters were mechanical devices with metal arms that would swing up to strike the paper, typists who were too fast would cause the arms to jam. They would tangle together like branches in a storm. So Christopher Latham Scholes, the inventor of the modern typewriter, rearranged the keys. He placed commonly used letter combinations far apart. He made the layout deliberately inefficient. The most common letter in English, the letter E, is typed with the left middle finger. Not the strongest finger, not the most agile, the middle finger reaching upward. And we still use this layout, more than 150 years later, long after the mechanical arms disappeared, long after the reasons for inefficiency became obsolete. There have been better layouts. The Dvorak simplified keyboard, designed in the 1930s, places the most common letters on the home row. It's faster, more efficient, easier on the hands. But we don't use it. We use QWERTY because it's familiar, because we learned it first, because changing, even changing for the better, requires too much effort. It's a beautiful example of historical inertia, the past holding onto the present, even when the present no longer needs it. Your fingers know this pattern. They move across these keys automatically without thought, typing words you inherited from typewriters that no longer exist. Fact 10. The mouse was made of wood. The first computer mouse, invented by Douglas Engelbart in 1964, was carved from wood. Wood, not plastic, not metal, wood. It was a small wooden block with a single button on top, and inside a simple mechanism. 2 wheels positioned at 90 degrees to each other that would roll as the mouse moved across the desk. Engelbart called it a mouse because of the cord. The wire extending from the back looked like a tail. But here's what's remarkable about this invention. Engelbart wasn't trying to make computers easier for computer experts. He was trying to make computers accessible to everyone. He imagined a future where people would interact with machines naturally, intuitively, with their hands. Before the mouse, computers were controlled entirely by typing, by commands, by memorized codes. You had to speak the computer's language. But the mouse let you point, let you gesture. It translated human movement into machine understanding. That first wooden mouse was clumsy, primitive. The wheels would collect dust. The button would stick, but worked. It moved a cursor across a screen. It selected, it clicked, and from that simple wooden block, carved by hand, came trackpads, touch screens, gesture controls, an entire vocabulary of human-computer interaction, all because someone thought, what if we could just point? What if thinking could be as simple as reaching out and touching? Fact 11, the email that crossed a room. The first email was sent by Ray Tomlinson in 1971. He sent it from one computer to another computer, sitting right next to it. The same room, probably just a few feet away. He doesn't remember what the message said. Something like Cordy-Wyatt testing the keys, testing the connection, testing whether a message could travel, even the smallest distance through a network. It worked. The message arrived, instantly, silently. Tomlinson also chose the @ symbol to separate the username from the computer address. The @ that little symbol that now appears in billions of email addresses. He chose it because it was on the keyboard, but rarely used for anything else. That first email crossed a room, but the idea crossed the world. Because what Tomlinson had created wasn't just a way to send messages. It was a way to send messages asynchronously. The recipient didn't need to be present, didn't need to be waiting. The message could arrive and wait patiently until someone was ready to read it. Like a letter, but instant, but permanent, but free. Within years, millions of emails were crossing not rooms, but oceans, continents, the space between planets. All because one man sent a test message across a room and thought this might be useful. Fact 12, the internet's humble beginning. The first message sent over the internet in 1969 was supposed to be the word login. The message was sent from UCLA to Stanford Research Institute. Two computers, connected by a single line. The beginning of ARPANET, which would eventually become the internet. The programmer at UCLA typed L. The system at Stanford received it. Success. He typed L. The system received it. Success. He typed G, and the system crashed. So the first message ever sent over the internet was LO. Lo, like the biblical exclamation. Lo and behold. Lo, something is happening here. It's almost poetic, isn't it? That the first word transmitted across what would become the largest network in human history was an accident, an incomplete thought, a system failure that somehow sounds profound. Lo, the programmer made a note. Talk to SRI host to host. At 10:30 p.m. on October 29, 1969, the internet said its first word, and that word was almost nothing, almost hello, almost there. An hour later, they tried again. This time, login worked. The full word transmitted successfully. The connection was stable. But that first attempt, that broken transmission, remains. Lo, the ghost of a greeting, the beginning of everything. Fact 13, the floppy disk that wasn't. The floppy disk, introduced by IBM in 1971, was 8 inches across. 8 inches. Large enough to use as a dinner plate. Large enough that when you held it with both hands, carefully, like carrying something fragile. And it was fragile. Inside the square plastic shell was a thin disk of magnetic material, flexible, bendable. That's why they called it floppy, because it would flex. It would bend if you squeezed it. You could feel the disk shift inside its protective sleeve. That first floppy disk could store 80 kilobytes of data. 80 kilobytes, about 40 pages of text, half a short story, a few dozen photographs at very low resolution. But it was removable. That was the miracle. For the first time, memory could be carried. You could take your data with you. You could share it, hand it to someone across a room, mail it across the country. Before floppy disks, computer memory was fixed, permanent, built into the machine. Your data lived where your computer lived and nowhere else. But the floppy disk made memory portable, temporary, shareable. Later, the disks would shrink 5¼ inches, then 3½ inches in a hard plastic shell. By then, they weren't floppy at all, but the name remained. We call them floppy disks, even when they were rigid. Language holds on to the past, even when the present has moved on. 8 inches across, 80 kilobytes, the beginning of carrying your thoughts with you. Fact 14, the computer that lived in a garage. The Apple I computer, built by Steve Wozniak in 1976, was sold as a bare circuit board. No case, no keyboard, no monitor, just the board itself. Green fiberglass, chips soldered by hand, wires connecting memory to processor to power supply. If you bought an Apple I, and about 200 people did, you had to build the rest yourself. Find a keyboard, connect a TV as a monitor, build or buy a wooden case to hold everything together. It cost $666.66. Wozniak chose that price because he liked repeating digits. No other reason, just the pleasure of a pattern. They built the first 50 Apple I computers in Steve Jobs' parents' garage. Actually built them. Wozniak soldering, Jobs testing, the smell of heated metal, the careful placement of each component. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't beautiful, but it worked. It was a complete personal computer at a time when computers still filled rooms and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. This was a computer you could own, could touch, could understand, if you were patient enough to trace each wire, each connection. Most of those original Apple I computers are gone now, thrown away when they became obsolete, dismantled for parts, but a few remain in museums, in private collections, and when they appear at auction, they sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. A circuit board built in a garage, now worth more than most houses, because it wasn't just a computer, it was the beginning of something personal, something human-sized. Fact 15, the name that almost was. Microsoft, the company, was almost called Microsoft, with a hyphen. Microsoft, a combination of microcomputer and software. The name was meant to be descriptive, literal. This is what we do. We make software for microcomputers. Bill Gates and Paul Allen founded the company in 1975. They dropped the hyphen within a year. Microsoft, one word, cleaner, simpler, easier to say. But in those early documents, the early letters and contracts, you can still see it. Microsoft, the ghost of punctuation. Names are strange, aren't they? They seem so permanent, so inevitable. Microsoft, Apple, IBM, as if they could never have been anything else. But they were chosen. Someone sat in a room and thought, what should we call this? What name will carry us forward? And sometimes the name fits. Sometimes it grows into something larger than its original meaning. Microsoft doesn't make software just for microcomputers anymore. Microcomputers don't really exist anymore, not as a category. Everything is a computer now, but the name remains. Microsoft, solid, familiar, a word that once meant something specific and now means something vast. Microsoft, with a hyphen, for just a moment, and then without. Fact 16, the sound of connection. In the 1990s, when you connected to the internet, you heard it happen. The modem would dial. You would hear touch tones, the numbers being pressed electronically. Then a ringing sound, waiting for another computer to answer. And then the sound. That sound, a screeching, warbling, chirping negotiation between two machines. High-pitched squeals, low grinding tones, like robots learning to speak, like whales calling across an electronic ocean. That sound was beautiful in its way, alien, mechanical, but also purposeful. You knew what it meant. The modem at your house was talking to the modem at your internet service provider. They were agreeing on protocols, on speeds, on the language they would use to communicate. And then silence, or near silence, just a soft hum, and you were connected. You were online. The world was suddenly available through that phone line, through that screeching conversation between machines. People who grew up with that sound feel nostalgic for it now. the sound of connection, the sound of waiting, the sound of the internet arriving. Now the internet is just there, always there, silent, invisible, no negotiation, no announcement. But once you could hear it. You could hear the exact moment when your computer reached out across the distance and touched another mind. Fact 17, the web's first page. The first website, created by Tim Berners-Lee in 1991, was about the World Wide Web itself. It was a simple page, plain text, a few links. It explained what the World Wide Web was, how it worked, how to create your own web pages, how to set up a web server. The address was http://info.cern.ch/hypertext/www/theproject.html. Long, unmemorable, but functional. And that page, that first page, is still online. Not the original. The original was lost, but a reconstruction, a memory of what it looked like. Plain, sparse, just information presented clearly. No images, no colors, no animations, just text and links. The fundamental building blocks of what would become everything. Berners-Lee created the web while working at CERN, the particle physics laboratory in Switzerland. He created it to help scientists share research, to make information accessible, to connect documents across different computers in different countries through simple, clickable links. He didn't patent it, didn't charge for it. He gave it away, released it to the world for free. Imagine that, inventing something that would change human civilization and giving it away. The first website explained the web, and the web explained everything else. Fact 18, the pixel's hidden geometry. A computer screen is made of pixels. Picture elements, tiny squares of light. Your screen right now contains millions of them, millions of tiny lights, each one capable of displaying millions of colors, each one turning on and off thousands of times per second, creating the illusion of smooth motion, stable images. But here's what's remarkable, what's almost magical. Those pixels are not infinitely small. They have size. They have geometry. If you look closely, very closely, you can see them. Individual squares. Red, green, blue. Every color you see, every shade, every gradient is created by combining those three colors. Red, green, and blue light. In different intensities, different proportions. Pure white, all three at full brightness. Black, all three turn off. Yellow, red, and green with no blue. Your eye blends them. Your brain interprets them. And you see not squares of light, but a photograph, a face, a landscape, a word. The screen is a mosaic. Millions of tiny tiles arranged in a grid, each one glowing with purpose. And from that grid, from that rigid geometric structure, comes the fluid appearance of reality, or at least the appearance of images, of information, of things that feel real, even though they're made of light. Fact 19, the password's ancient ancestor. The word password comes from military history. Sentries would challenge anyone approaching in darkness. Halt! Who goes there? And the person would need to respond with the correct word. The password, proof that they belonged, proof that they were authorized. Roman soldiers used passwords. Medieval castles used passwords. Every military force throughout history needed a way to distinguish friend from enemy in the dark. And now we use passwords to protect everything. Email, bank accounts, shopping sites, social media, files on our computers. But here's the problem. The beautiful, frustrating problem. Passwords need to be memorable, but also random. Simple, but also complex. Unique, but also manageable when you have dozens of them. The average person has somewhere between 70 and 100 passwords. Most people can't remember that many, so they reuse passwords. Use simple passwords. Write them down. Save them in documents labeled passwords. And yet, passwords persist. We keep using them because they're simple to implement, because everyone understands a concept, because they're the digital equivalent of that ancient sentry in the darkness. Asking, who goes there? The correct word grants passage. The incorrect word means you wait outside in the dark. Fact 20. The clock that never stops. Inside your computer, there's a clock. Not a clock you can see. Not a clock with hands or numbers, but a clock nonetheless. It ticks billions of times per second. Billions. The processor speed, measured in gigahertz, is actually the frequency of this clock. How many times per second the computer's heart beats. Every operation happens in rhythm with this clock. Every calculation, every instruction. Tick, process, tick, process, tick. Your computer's clock, if it runs at 3 gigahertz, ticks 3 billion times per second. 3 billion moments, 3 billion opportunities to think. And here's what's extraordinary, what's almost incomprehensible. Your computer never gets tired, never needs to rest, never needs to slow its heartbeat. As long as it has power, the clock ticks. As long as the clock ticks, the computer thinks. Human hearts beat about 60 times per minute, 42 million times per year. If you live 80 years, your heart beats about 3 billion times total. A computer's clock beats that many times in 1 second, and yet we barely notice. We complain when a computer is slow, when it takes 3 seconds instead of 1, when it makes us wait. But inside the clock is ticking. Billions of moments, billions of thoughts. Every second you're frustrated by slowness. The computer is having billions of experiences you'll never know about. Tick, 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 tick. Billions of ticks in the time it takes you to breathe. Fact 21. The memory that forgets. RAM, random access memory, is a computer's working memory. It's immediate thoughts. It's consciousness. When you open a program, it loads into RAM. When you type a word, it exists in RAM. When you watch a video, it streams through RAM. RAM is fast, incredibly fast. The computer can access any piece of information in RAM instantly, randomly. That's what random access means. No need to search, no need to wait. Just reach out and the memory is there. But RAM is also temporary, fragile, dependent. When you turn off your computer, when the power stops flowing, RAM forgets everything, instantly, completely. Every thought the computer was having, every program that was running, every unsaved document gone. RAM needs electricity to maintain memory. Constant electricity, a steady flow of power to keep the thoughts alive. It's like human working memory, isn't it? The thoughts you're having right now, the sentence you just read, the sensation of your breath, all of it present, vivid, immediate, but temporary. If you fall asleep, those thoughts fade. If you're interrupted, they could disappear. Working memory holds onto the present, but cannot keep it forever. RAM is the computer's present moment, alive with activity, filled with information. And then when the power ends, empty again, waiting, ready to think new thoughts, to hold new memories, to be present once more. Fact 22. The code that wrote itself. The first computer virus, created in 1983, was called Elk Cloner. It infected Apple II computers through floppy disks. When you inserted an infected disk, the virus would copy itself to the computer's memory, and then quietly it would wait. When you inserted a clean disk, the virus would copy itself onto that disk too, spreading, replicating, moving from computer to computer like a biological virus moving from host to host. Every 50th time an infected computer started up, the virus would display a poem, Elk Cloner. The program with a personality, it will get on all your disks, it will infiltrate your chips, yes. It's Cloner. It will stick to you like glue, it will modify RAM to send in the Cloner. A poem, written by a 15-year-old high school student named Rich Skrena. He created it as a prank, as a joke. He wanted to prove that programs could spread themselves, could persist even when you try to get rid of them. Elk Cloner was harmless, annoying but harmless. It didn't delete files, didn't steal information. It just existed, spreading its little poem, proving that code could behave like life. That was 1983. Now, there are millions of viruses, malware, ransomware, Trojans, worms, an entire ecosystem of hostile code, evolving adapting, competing for survival in the digital landscape. But it started with a poem, a teenager's joke, a program that could copy itself. I want to tell you about it. Fact 23, the infinite library. The internet contains approximately 120 zettabytes of data. A zettabyte. Let's pause there for a moment. Most people have never heard this word, never needed to think in numbers this large. 1 zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabytes. 1 trillion. If you try to store 1 zettabyte on DVDs, you need about 250 billion DVDs. If you stack them, the stack would reach from Earth to the moon and back about 15 times. And the internet contains 120 of these. 120 zettabytes. Every website, every email, every video, every photograph, every social media post, every document, every database, every backup, every copy, all of it, stored on servers in vast data centers around the world. Warehouses filled with hard drives, humming with fans, cooled by industrial air conditioning, using enough electricity to power small cities. And here's what's remarkable, what's almost incomprehensible. Most of that data is never accessed, never looked at again. Photographs, no one will ever view. Videos no one will ever watch. Backups of backups of backups. We create data faster than we can consume it, faster than we can organize it, faster than we can understand what we have. The internet has become an infinite library. But unlike a library, there's no catalog, no librarian, no one who knows where everything is. Just vast amounts of information, growing, accumulating, waiting for someone to search for it. Fact 24, the touch that changed everything. The iPhone, released in 2007, wasn't the first touchscreen phone. Touchscreen devices had existed for years, decades even. PDAs, early smartphones, information kiosks, ATMs. But the iPhone changed how touchscreens worked, how they felt. Before the iPhone, most touchscreens required a stylus, a small plastic pen. You had to press hard, deliberately. The screen would register pressure, but nothing else. The iPhone used capacitive touch. It detected the electrical properties of your finger, your skin. You didn't need to press. Just touch, lightly, the way you might touch someone's hand to get their attention. And it was multi-touch. It could sense multiple fingers at once. You could pinch to zoom, spread to expand. The interface responded to gestures, to human movements, in a way that felt almost magical. Steve Jobs demonstrated it by scrolling through contacts, just flicking his finger, and a list would scroll and slow down and stop with physics, with momentum, as if the list was a real, physical object responding to real, physical touch. People in the audience gasped, actually gasped, because they'd never seen anything like it. Now, touchscreens are everywhere. We tap and swipe and pinch without thinking, without marveling. It's ordinary. But once it was extraordinary. Once it changed what we thought computers could be. Not machines you operated, but surfaces you touched. Fact 25, the camera in your pocket. The first camera phone, created in 2000, had a resolution of 0.11 megapixels. 0.11 megapixels. That's approximately 350 pixels wide by 280 pixels tall. Tiny, blurry, barely recognizable as a photograph. The image quality was so poor, you could barely tell what you were looking at. Colors were muddy, details were lost, but it worked. You could take a picture with your phone. The phone was the Sharp J SH04, only released in Japan. Most people outside Japan never saw it. But the idea spread. Within a few years, every phone had a camera, and the cameras got better, sharper, more sophisticated. Now, your phone's camera is probably 12 megapixels, 50 megapixels, more. It can shoot video in 4K. It can capture slow motion at hundreds of frames per second. It has computational photography, where the phone takes multiple images and combines them, creating a photograph better than what the lens actually saw. Your phone can see in the dark, can stabilize shaky hands, can blur backgrounds like a professional camera, can recognize faces, can read text, can identify plants and buildings and artworks. from 0.11 megapixels to cameras that can see better than human eyes. And we use them to photograph meals, to take selfies, to capture moments we'll never look at again. Because we can. Because the camera is always there, always ready, always watching. Fact 26. The text that costs nothing. SMS, short message service, was originally designed as a way for cellular networks to send maintenance messages. Not for customers, for the network itself. Short bursts of data sent between towers and phones, carrying technical information. But engineers realized customers could use this too. Could send short text messages to each other. 160 characters maximum. Just simple text. The first SMS was sent in 1992. It said, "Merry Christmas," sent from a computer to a mobile phone. The phone couldn't respond, couldn't send messages back yet, but it received the message, displayed it, proved it was possible. Within a few years, texting became ubiquitous. Teenagers sent thousands of texts per month. Entire conversations conducted in 160 character bursts. A new language developed. Abbreviations, acronyms, LOL, BRB, OMG. But here's what's remarkable, what's almost absurd. SMS messages cost almost nothing to send. They use such tiny amounts of data, fractions of a kilobyte, that the actual cost to cellular companies is effectively zero. And yet, for years, cellular companies charge for each message 10 cents, 25 cents per text, making enormous profits on essentially nothing. Now, most plans include unlimited texts because the companies realized people would stop using SMS, would switch to internet messaging apps, would find ways around the cost. So text became free, or included, or whatever you call something that costs nothing to provide but generates loyalty. 160 characters, originally meant for machines. Now, a fundamental way humans talk to each other. Fact 27. The file that never dies. When you delete a file on your computer, it doesn't actually disappear. Not immediately, not completely. The file still exists on your hard drive. Every byte, every bit, still there, written in magnetic patterns on spinning platters or electrical charges in flash memory. What disappears is the index, the pointer, the node in the computer's filing system that says this file is here. It's like a library where someone removes a book from the catalog, but leaves the book on the shelf. The book still exists, but the library no longer knows where it is, no longer considers it present. Eventually, the computer will overwrite that space. We'll store new data on top of the old data. And then, finally, the original file is truly gone. But until that happens, the file persists, like a ghost, invisible to normal users, but recoverable if you have the right tools, the right knowledge. This is why, when people want to truly delete something, they don't just delete it, they overwrite it multiple times with random data, erasing the magnetic patterns, erasing the electrical charges, making the original information truly unrecoverable. The military has specifications for this. 7 overwrites, 35 overwrites, making absolutely certain that what was once there can never be recovered, because deletion is not the same as forgetting. Fact 28. The number that defines color. Computer screens can display approximately 16.7 million colors. 16,700,000. That's more colors than human eyes can distinguish. More shades, more subtle gradations. This number comes from the way computers encode color. Each pixel has 3 values: red, green, blue. Each value can be 256 different intensities, from 0, complete darkness, to 255, maximum brightness. 256 times 256 times 256 equals 16,777,216. That's how many colors are possible when you combine red, green, and blue light in every possible proportion. But here's the beautiful thing. The human eye can only distinguish about 10 million colors. Maybe, depending on the person, depending on the lighting. depending on so many factors, which means computer screens can show us colors we cannot tell apart, shades so similar that they appear identical to our eyes. Why make screens capable of this? Why create colors we cannot see? Because gradients need to be smooth. Because transitions need to be seamless. Because even if we can't distinguish color A from color B, we can see the difference between a gradient with 50 steps and a gradient with 5,000 steps. 16 million colors, most of them invisible to us, but present nonetheless. Waiting, ready, just in case we need that particular shade of blue. Fact 29, the cloud that isn't. The cloud is not a cloud. It's buildings, vast buildings, warehouses, data centers, filled with servers, thousands of servers, tens of thousands, all running constantly, all storing your files, your photos, your emails, your documents. The cloud is other people's computers. That's all it is. Computers in buildings you'll never visit, in cities you may never go to, tended by technicians you'll never meet. But we call it cloud because it's abstract, distant, invisible. Your files are somewhere, but you don't need to know where. Don't need to think about where. You just upload, and the files go up into the cloud, into the atmosphere of information. And then, when you need them, you download. The files come back down from the cloud, from the sky, but they were never in the sky. They were always on the ground, in buildings, on drives. The metaphor is beautiful, though, isn't it? The cloud, light, ethereal, floating. Your data, weightless, drifting in digital space. Even though the reality is heavy, physical, consuming electricity, generating heat, requiring cooling, requiring maintenance. The cloud is the earth, is buildings and wires and drives and power. But we look up when we think about it. We imagine sky. Fact 30, the battery's patient chemistry. Lithium-ion batteries, the kind in your phone, your laptop, degrade every time you charge them. Not dramatically, not noticeably, but measurably. Every charge cycle causes tiny changes in the battery's chemistry. The lithium ions move back and forth from one electrode to another, and each journey causes microscopic damage. Tiny fractures, small inefficiencies. After about 500 full charge cycles, the battery holds approximately 80% of its original capacity. After 1,000 cycles, maybe 70%. You probably noticed this. An old phone that used to last all day now dies by afternoon. An old laptop that used to run for 5 hours now needs charging after 2. The battery isn't broken. It's just tired. The chemistry has degraded. The capacity has diminished. And here's the thing. Here's the patient, inevitable thing. You cannot stop this. Cannot prevent it. Every charge, every discharge brings the battery one step closer to exhaustion. You can slow it down. Avoid extreme temperatures. Don't drain the battery to 0. Don't keep it at 100% constantly. Charge to 80% and stop. But ultimately, the battery will age, will diminish, will fade. Like everything else, like all of us. Energy given freely for a time, and then gradually less, until one day, the battery holds no charge at all, and it's time for replacement, for renewal. A new battery, with fresh chemistry, ready to begin the cycle again. Fact 31. The instruction set of simplicity. Every computer, no matter how powerful, no matter how complex, can only perform a small set of basic operations. Add, subtract, move data from here to there, compare two numbers, jump to a different instruction if a condition is true. That's essentially it. Maybe 50 different instructions, 100, depending on the processor. Everything your computer does, every video it plays, every game it runs, every word processor, every web browser is built from these simple operations, repeated millions of times, billions of times, combined in intricate patterns. It's like language. English has 26 letters, just 26. But from those letters, we build words. From words, sentences. From sentences, novels, philosophies, love letters, legal documents. The instructions are the letters. The programs are everything else. Your processor doesn't understand what a photograph is, doesn't know what music means, doesn't comprehend the concept of a video game. It only knows, add this number to that number, move this byte to this location, check if this value is greater than 0, but arranged correctly in the right sequence. Those simple operations become anything, everything. A chess program that can beat world champions, an image editor that can transform photographs, a flight simulator that can model the physics of air and metal and gravity, all built from add, subtract, compare, move, jump. Simplicity repeated endlessly, becoming complexity. Fact 32, the error that corrects itself. Your computer's memory is constantly making mistakes. Tiny mistakes, random bit flips. A cosmic ray passes through your RAM, strikes a memory cell, and a 0 becomes a 1, or a 1 becomes a 0. This happens. Not often, but it happens. More often at high altitudes, more often in space. Cosmic radiation is everywhere, passing through everything, occasionally changing something. If this happens in the wrong place at the wrong time, your computer crashes. A critical bit changes. A calculation fails. A program terminates unexpectedly. But most computers, especially servers, especially systems that need to be reliable, use something called ECC memory. Error-correcting code memory. ECC memory stores extra bits alongside your data. Redundancy. And these extra bits allow the memory to detect errors. And, remarkably, to correct them. A bit flips. The memory notices. Calculates what the bit should be. Fixes it. Automatically. Invisibly. You never know what happened. It's like having an editor constantly reading over your shoulder. Catching typos. Correcting them. Before you even notice they exist. This is happening right now. In data centers around the world. Cosmic rays striking memory. Bits flipping. And the memory patiently fixing itself. Error. Correction. Error. Correction. An endless cycle of quiet vigilance. The universe trying to introduce chaos. The computer resisting. Maintaining order. One corrected bit at a time. Fact 33. The refresh that never stops. Your computer screen refreshes dozens of times per second. 60 times. 120 times. 144 times. Depending on your monitor. This means the entire image on your screen, every pixel, is redrawn completely. 60 times per second, 120 times per second. Why? Because LCD screens don't hold an image indefinitely. The liquid crystals need to be constantly refreshed. Constantly told, yes, stay this color, stay this brightness, even when nothing is moving. Even when you're reading a static page of text, the screen is redrawing that text 60 times per second. You don't see this happening. Your eye blends the images together, perceives continuity, stability, but the screen is flickering constantly, just too fast for you to notice. Old CRT monitors, the big, heavy screens from decades ago, worked differently. An electron beam would physically scan across the screen, top to bottom, left to right, painting the image one line at a time. And that beam would scan 30 times per second, 60 times per second. If you looked carefully, if you paid attention, you could sometimes see the flicker, a subtle pulse, the screen breathing. Modern screens flicker faster, smoother, invisibly, but they still flicker, still refresh, still redraw reality. Dozens of times, every single second you're looking at them. Motion built from stillness. Continuity built from interruption. Fact 34. The compression that forgets. When you save a photograph as a JPEG, you lose information. Not all of it, not even most of it, but some. JPEG compression works by simplifying, by looking at groups of pixels and saying, these are almost the same color. Let's make them exactly the same color. Let's save space by remembering just one color, instead of 8 slightly different colors. The differences it removes are small, subtle. Colors you might not notice are missing. Details you might not see are gone. Save a JPEG once. You probably can't tell the difference from the original. The compression is gentle, careful. It removes only what it thinks you won't miss. but save that JPEG again, and it compresses again, removes more, and again, and again. Each time, losing a little more information, a little more detail, a little more truth. Eventually, after enough compressions, the image starts to look wrong. Blocky, blurry, colors blend together. Details disappear into muddy approximations. This is called generation loss. Each generation, each copy, degrades slightly, like making photocopies of photocopies, each one a little worse than the last. But here's the thing. For most purposes, one JPEG is enough. The loss is acceptable, even desirable, because the file is smaller, easier to share, faster to load. We trade perfection for convenience, fidelity for efficiency, and most of the time, we don't even notice what's missing. Fact 35, the keyboard's ghostly limits. Most keyboards can only register a certain number of simultaneous key presses, usually 6 keys, sometimes 10, depends on the keyboard, depends on the technology. This is called the rollover limit. Press more keys than this at exactly the same time and the keyboard stops reporting. Some keys don't register. The keyboard becomes confused. For typing, this doesn't matter. You rarely press more than 2 or 3 keys at once. Letters, maybe Shift and a letter, maybe Control and Shift and a letter. But for gaming it matters. Fast-paced games where you're pressing multiple movement keys, multiple action keys simultaneously, where every input needs to register, every command needs to be heard. Expensive gaming keyboards advertise in-key rollover, meaning press as many keys as you want, all of them at once if you like. The keyboard will register every single one. But standard keyboards have limits, invisible thresholds. Press too many keys and some become ghosts. Pressed but not heard, present but not registered. It's a strange limitation, isn't it? A keyboard with 100 keys, but you can only use 6 at a time. Like an instrument where you're only allowed to play certain combinations of notes, where some chords are impossible. Most people never discover this limit, never press enough keys at once, never find a threshold, but it's there, waiting, a boundary in the interface between human and machine, a point where the machine says no more. I can only listen to so many voices at once. Fact 36, the domain that was first. The first domain name ever registered was symbolics.com. March 15th, 1985. Symbolics Computer Corporation, a company that made specialized computers for artificial intelligence research. List machines. Beautiful, elegant, expensive machines that no longer exist. The company is gone too. Bought, sold, dissolved. But the domain name remains. Symbolics.com, still active, still pointing to a website, a memorial to its own history. It was the first, the beginning of the domain name system. The idea that instead of typing IP addresses, long strings of numbers, you could type names, words, something memorable. After symbolics.com came bbn.com, then think.com, then mcc.com. One by one, companies claiming their territory, planting flags in the new digital landscape. Now, there are hundreds of millions of domain names, maybe over 300 million. Every company, every organization, every person who wants a website, all following symbolics.com, all descendants of that first registration. The domain name system is like a vast phone book, a directory. Type a name, and the system translates it to an address, an IP address, a location, where the website actually lives. You don't see this translation happening. You just type google.com or wikipedia.org, and you're there. The system handles the rest. But someone had to be first, had to claim the first name. And symbolics.com, a company that no longer exists, has that honor. The first door, in an infinite hallway of doors. Fact 37, the click that travels. When you click a link, when you press that button, your request travels far. Your computer sends a message to your router. Your router sends it to your internet service provider. Your ISP sends it to a backbone network, a major internet highway, and that network sends it across cities, across states, across oceans sometimes, through fiber optic cables, pulses of light, traveling at the speed of light. Approximately. A bit slower in fiber than in a vacuum, but still incredibly fast. The message reaches the web server, wherever it is, and the server sends back the web page, the image, the video, the data, and that data travels back the same route in reverse, through networks, through cables, through routers, until it arrives at your screen. The entire journey takes milliseconds, fractions of a second. You click, the page loads, almost instant, but it wasn't instant. It was a journey, a long journey. Your request traveled potentially thousands of miles and returned in less time than it takes to blink. The light in fiber optic cables can travel around the Earth more than 7 times in 1 second. So when you click a link, even if the server is on the other side of the planet, the delay is barely noticeable. Unless something goes wrong, unless a cable is cut, a router fails, a network becomes congested. Then you wait. And waiting, even for a second, feels like forever because we become accustomed to instant, to effortless, to the world arriving at our fingertips faster than thought. Fact 38. The font that's everywhere. The most widely used font is probably Helvetica, or Arial, which is essentially Helvetica, a very close copy, created to avoid licensing fees. Helvetica was designed in 1957 in Switzerland by Max Miedinger and Eduard Hoffmann. They wanted a font that was neutral, clean, without personality, without style, a font that could be used for anything. Street signs, corporate logos, government documents, advertisements, and it succeeded. Helvetica is everywhere. You've seen it thousands of times today, on signs, on screens, in apps, on products. It's the default font for countless systems, for countless designs, because it's invisible in a good way. It doesn't draw attention to itself. It just presents information, clearly, efficiently. Some designers love Helvetica for its precision, its balance, its geometric perfection. Some designers hate Helvetica for its coldness, its ubiquity, its lack of soul, but everyone uses it. Or Arial, or one of the countless fonts inspired by it. Your computer has dozens of fonts installed, hundreds maybe, serif fonts, script fonts, decorative fonts, fonts with personality, fonts with history. But when designers want something safe, something that won't distract, something that just works, they choose Helvetica, the invisible font, the font you don't notice, the font that simply is neutral, universal, everywhere. Fact 39. The search that changed finding. Before Google, web search was different. There were search engines. Yahoo, AltaVista, Lycos, Excite. You could search, but the results were unreliable, often irrelevant, based on how many times a word appeared on a page, or on paid placement, or on arbitrary criteria. Google changed this with PageRank, an algorithm developed by Larry Page and Sergey Brin at Stanford. The idea was simple, elegant. Links are like votes. If many websites link to a page, that page is probably important, probably valuable, probably worth showing in search results. But not all votes are equal. A link from an important site counts more, much more, than a link from an unimportant site. It's recursive, circular. A page is important because important pages link to it. And those pages are important because other important pages link to them. Google calculated this for every page on the web. Rank them, order them, and suddenly search worked. You could type a question, type a few words, and the first result was usually exactly what you needed. It felt like magic, like the computer understood, like the web had organization, structure, meaning. Now, Google processes billions of searches per day. The algorithm has evolved, become more complex, incorporates hundreds of factors, machine learning, user behavior, context, but the core idea remains. Links are votes. Importance is relative, networked, emergent. The web ranks itself, and Google just listens. Fact 40. The notification that never sleeps. Your phone, wants your attention, not in a metaphorical way, not poetically, actually, deliberately. The applications on your phone are designed to bring you back, to make you look, to make you engage. Every notification is a bid for attention, a small interruption, a gentle pull. Look at me. Something happened, something you might care about, something you might want to see, and your brain responds. You feel the vibration, hear the sound, see the light, and you have to check, have to know, what was it? Who was it? What did I miss? This is not an accident. This is design, intentional design. Apps that keep you engaged are more successful, generate more revenue, more data, more everything. The average person checks their phone 50 to 100 times per day, maybe more. Some people hundreds of times, not because they need to, not because something important is happening, but because the phone asked, the notification appeared, the possibility existed that something might be there. It's a gentle addiction, a trained behavior. The phone trains us to respond, to check, to return, and we comply, pulling the phone from our pocket, unlocking the screen, checking what? Often nothing, nothing important, nothing urgent, nothing that couldn't have waited. But we checked anyway, because the phone asked us to, and we have learned to answer. Fact 41, the cache that remembers for you. Your web browser remembers websites you visited, not just in your history, not just as a list, but completely. Images, style sheets, scripts, all the pieces that make up a web page. This is called the cache, a hidden storage area where your browser keeps copies of everything, just in case you visit that site again. And when you do return, the browser doesn't download everything again, doesn't ask the server for files it already has. It just retrieves them from the cache, from memory. This makes websites load faster, much faster. The second visit is always quicker than the first, because most of the work is already done. But here's what's interesting, what's almost philosophical. The website you're seeing might not be the current website, might not be what everyone else sees. It might be a memory, a cached version from hours ago, days ago. Your browser shows you what it remembers and assumes that memory is still accurate. Usually it is. Websites don't change that often. The logo is the same. The layout is the same. The images are the same. But sometimes the website has changed, and your browser doesn't know. Shows you the old version, the remembered version, until you force it to refresh, to forget its cache, to look again with fresh eyes. We do this too, don't we? Remember places, remember people, and when we return, we expect them to be how we remember them, who we remember them to be. Sometimes they are. Sometimes the memory is accurate, and sometimes they've changed, and we're seeing only what we remember. Fact 42, the backup that protects the past. The 3-2-1 backup rule is simple, elegant, essential. 3 copies of your data on 2 different types of media, with 1 copy stored off-site, away, somewhere else. 3, 2, 1. This protects against almost everything. Hard drive failure, you have other copies. Fire, flood, theft, you have the off-site backup. Digital corruption, you have redundancy. And yet, most people don't follow this rule. Most people have 1 copy. Their computer, maybe a backup drive, sitting right next to the computer, in the same house, vulnerable to the same disasters. People lose decades of photographs, documents, work, memories, because 1 hard drive failed, because 1 computer was stolen, because 1 house burned, and the data is gone, irrecoverable, lost to time. There's something haunting about digital loss. Physical objects, even when destroyed, leave traces, ash, fragments, echoes. But digital data, when it's gone, it's completely gone. No remnant, no ghost, just absence. The bits that represented your photographs now represent something else, or nothing. Random noise, magnetic chaos. 3, 2, 1. It's not complicated, not expensive, just intentional, deliberate. A recognition that data, like everything precious, is fragile, temporary, unless we protect it, unless we make copies. unless we distribute those copies across space, across media, across time. The past is only as permanent as we make it. Fact 43. The protocol that trusts no one. HTTPS, the secure version of HTTP, encrypts everything. Every request, every response, every bit of data traveling between your browser and the website. Encrypted, scrambled, unreadable to anyone, except you and the server. You can see it in your browser. The little padlock icon, the HTTPS:// at the beginning of the URL. Small indicators that you're protected. Your conversation is private. This wasn't always standard. For years, most websites used regular HTTP. No encryption. Everything sent in plain text, readable by anyone who could intercept the connection. Your internet service provider could read your traffic. Anyone on your Wi-Fi network could read your traffic. Government agencies, hackers, anyone positioned between you and the website. They could see what pages you visited, what you searched for, what you typed into forms, your passwords, your credit card numbers, everything. HTTPS changed this, made privacy default, made encryption expected. The encryption happens automatically, transparently. You don't do anything, don't configure anything. Your browser and the server negotiate, exchange keys, establish a secure channel, and then everything you send is encrypted before it leaves your device. Everything you receive is encrypted until it arrives. The data travels through the same wires, the same networks, the same infrastructure, but now it's protected, wrapped in mathematics, in complexity, in carefully designed trust. Even if someone intercepts your traffic, all they see is noise, random numbers, meaningless without the key. And the key exists only in your browser and on the server. Nowhere else, for no one else. Privacy through mathematics, security through encryption, trust through protocol. Fact 44. The pixel that watches you. A tracking pixel is a tiny image. One pixel, literally one pixel, one dot of color, often transparent, invisible, embedded in an email, on a web page, in an advertisement. When your browser loads that pixel, when it requests that tiny, invisible image from a server, the server knows you loaded it, knows when, knows your IP address, knows what device you're using. Email marketers use tracking pixels to know if you open their email. They don't need you to click anything, don't need you to respond. Just open the email, load the images, and the pixel reports back. Websites use tracking pixels to follow you. You visit one site. The site includes a pixel from an advertising network. You visit a different site. That site also includes a pixel from the same network. And the network knows you visited both sites, knows what you looked at, knows how long you stayed. Over time, these pixels build a profile, your interests, your behavior, your patterns, where you go, what you read, what you search for, all from one pixel, one invisible dot, repeated across thousands of websites, millions of web pages. You can block them. Browser extensions, privacy settings, disable image loading in emails. But most people don't. Most people don't even know they exist. Don't think about the invisible, the unnoticed, the single pixel, watching. It's surveillance, but gentle, passive, not obviously intrusive. Just observe it, patient, recording, one pixel at a time. Fact 45, the standard that almost wasn't. USB, Universal Serial Bus, was designed to replace everything. Before USB, computers had dozens of different ports. Serial ports, parallel ports, PS/2 ports for keyboards and mice, game ports for joysticks. Each device needed its own specific connection, its own cable, its own complexity. You had to match the device to the port, had to know which cable went where, had to turn off your computer before connecting or disconnecting anything or risk damaging the hardware. USB changed everything. One port, one type of connection, for everything. Keyboards, mice, printers, cameras, hard drives, flash drives, everything. And you could plug it in while the computer was running. hot swappable. The computer would detect the device, load the appropriate driver, and it would work. Usually, mostly. But here's the thing. USB almost failed. Almost didn't become standard. In the late 1990s, adoption was slow. Computer manufacturers didn't want to include USB ports. Device manufacturers didn't want to make USB devices. It was a stalemate, a chicken and egg problem, until Apple removed all legacy ports from the iMac in 1998. Only USB, nothing else. If you wanted to connect anything, it had to be USB. People complained, called it foolish, arrogant, limiting, but worked. Forced the industry to adopt USB. Forced manufacturers to make USB devices. And within a few years, USB was everywhere. Standard, universal. Now we're on USB-C, the newest version, even more universal. The same port for power, data, video, audio, everything. One connection for everything. The simplification we didn't know we needed until we had it. Fact 46, the dark web's hidden address. The dark web is not dark because it's evil, not dark because it's dangerous. It's dark because it's hidden, unlisted, not indexed by search engines, not accessible through normal browsers. To access the dark web, you need special software. Tor, the onion router, which encrypts your connection, routes it through multiple servers around the world, making your location untraceable, your identity anonymous. Websites on the dark web don't have normal addresses. Don't end in .com or .org. They end in .onion. Long strings of random characters. Unmemorable. Impossible to guess. And they're hidden. Not registered with any central authority. Not listed in any directory. You have to know the exact address. Or find it through word of mouth. Links shared in forums. Directories maintained by communities. The dark web contains illegal marketplaces. Stolen data. Malicious tools. Yes, that exists, but also contains journalism, whistleblowing platforms, communication channels for people in oppressive countries, privacy tools, forums for sensitive discussions. It's a space beyond surveillance, beyond tracking, beyond the normal rules of the internet. Anonymous, encrypted, difficult to shut down, difficult to monitor. Some people use it for harm. Some people use it for protection, for freedom, for privacy in a world where privacy is increasingly rare. The dark web is not a place. Not really. It's a protocol, a method, a way of communicating that prioritizes anonymity above all else. Hidden, but not necessarily harmful. Dark, but not necessarily evil. Just unseen. Fact 47. The semiconductor's tiny world. A modern processor contains billions of transistors. Billions. Individual switches. Each one microscopic. Each one capable of being on or off. 1 or 0. The transistors are so small that thousands of them could fit across the width of a human hair. So small that they're measured in nanometers. Billionths of a meter. The latest processors use 3 nanometer technology. 5 nanometers. 7 nanometers. The number represents, roughly, the size of the smallest features on the chip. 3 nanometers. That's smaller than most viruses, approaching the size of DNA molecules. At this scale, quantum effects start to matter. Electrons don't behave predictably. They tunnel through barriers, appear where they shouldn't be. Engineering at this scale is extraordinary, requires atomic precision. Clean rooms where the air is filtered of particles, where workers wear full-body suits, where even a single speck of dust could ruin an entire chip. And yet, we manufacture these chips, billions of them, stack them with billions of transistors. Each transistor switching on and off millions of times per second, billions of times per second, all generating heat, all consuming power, all working together to create thought, calculation, everything your computer does. From transistors so small, they're almost at the limit of physical possibility. We're approaching the end of Moore's Law. The observation that transistors would get smaller and chips would get more powerful every 2 years. We can't make transistors much smaller. Not without redesigning everything. Not without new materials, new techniques, new physics. But for now, billions of transistors, performing billions of operations, in a chip the size of your fingernail. Fact 48, the ping that measures distance. Ping is a simple command, a simple test. You send a message to a server. The server sends a message back, and you measure how long it took. The round-trip time, that's ping, named after sonar. The sound submarines send out that bounces off objects and returns. Ping, the echo. Digital ping works the same way. Your computer sends a packet, a small burst of data, to a server anywhere in the world, and waits for the response. The response time, measured in milliseconds, tells you about the connection, about the distance, about the health of the network. Low ping, 10 milliseconds, 20, means the server is close, or the connection is very good. Fast, efficient. High ping, 200 milliseconds, 500, means the server is far away, or the connection is slow, congested, degraded. For most internet use, ping doesn't matter much. Loading a web page, reading email, watching a video, a few hundred milliseconds makes no difference. But for gaming, for video calls, for real-time interaction, ping matters. Every millisecond counts. High ping means lag, delay. Your action happens, and then, a moment later, the server responds. That moment, that fraction of a second, can be the difference between winning and losing, between smooth conversation and frustrating interruption. Ping measures the space between you and the rest of the world. In time, in milliseconds, the closer we are, the lower the ping, the faster the response, the more connected we feel. Fact 49, the certificate that proves identity. When you visit a secure website, when you see that padlock icon, your browser is trusting a certificate, a digital certificate, a file containing cryptographic proof. Proof that the website is who it claims to be. The certificate is signed by a certificate authority, a trusted organization. Companies like DG Cert, Let's Encrypt, Komodo, organizations that verify identity, that vouch for legitimacy. Your browser has a list of trusted certificate authorities built in, and when you visit a website, the browser checks the certificate, verifies the signature, confirms that yes, this certificate was issued by a trusted authority. And yes, this certificate belongs to this website. If the certificate is valid, you see the padlock. The connection is encrypted. You're protected. If the certificate is invalid or expired or doesn't match the website, you see a warning. Big, red, scary, telling you don't proceed. Don't trust this site. It's a chain of trust. You trust your browser. Your browser trusts the certificate authorities. The certificate authorities trust the websites they've verified. And through this chain, you can trust that when you type facebook.com, you're actually connecting to Facebook, not an imposter, not a fake site designed to steal your password. Most of the time, this system works quietly, invisibly, protecting you without you even knowing. But it's built on trust, human trust, organizational trust, the trust that certificate authorities do their job correctly, verify identity accurately, issue certificates only to legitimate sites. And mostly, they do, but not always, not perfectly. Trust is always a little bit fragile. Fact 50, the update that changes everything. Software updates happen constantly, silently, in the background. Your operating system, your apps, your browser, your phone, always updating, always checking for new versions, always downloading, installing, changing. Sometimes you notice a notification, a restart required, a new feature, a changed interface. But mostly you don't. The updates happen while you sleep, while you're away, while you're not paying attention. And these updates contain fixes, security patches, bug corrections, improvements, sometimes complete rewrites of major features. Your computer today is different from your computer yesterday, in small ways, in invisible ways, but different. This is necessary, essential, because software has vulnerabilities, flaws, mistakes in the code that attackers can exploit. Security researchers discover these flaws, report them, and developers rush to fix them. The fix is pushed out in an update. And if you've installed the update, you're protected. If you haven't, you're vulnerable. This creates a race, a constant race. Attackers looking for vulnerabilities, defenders patching them, updates rolling out, some people installing them immediately, some people delaying, ignoring, postponing. And in that gap, that window between discovery and patch, between patch and installation, attacks happen. Software is never finished, never complete. It's evolving, constantly, getting better, getting more secure, but also getting more complex, more layered, more dependent on other software that's also updating. Your computer is a living thing, in a way, changing, adapting, healing its own vulnerabilities, one update at a time. Fact 51. The algorithm that learned your taste. Recommendation algorithms watch everything you do, every video you watch, every song you play, every article you read, every product you view. The algorithm notices, remembers, learns. It's looking for patterns, correlations. If you watch this, you might like that. If you listen to this artist, you might enjoy this other artist. If you bought this, you might want this too. The algorithm doesn't understand music, doesn't understand why you like what you like. It just sees patterns, numbers, connections. But those patterns become surprisingly accurate. The algorithm suggests a song, and yes, you do like it. Suggests a video, and yes, you watch it. Suggest a product, and yes, you consider buying it. It's learning you, building a model of your preferences, your interests, your behavior. And here's what's remarkable, what's almost unsettling. The algorithm might know your taste better than you know it yourself. It sees patterns you don't see, connections you wouldn't make. It predicts what you'll like before you know you'll like it. This is useful, convenient. The algorithm helps you discover new things. Music you wouldn't have found, videos you wouldn't have searched for, content perfectly tailored to your interests. But it also creates a bubble, a filter. You see what the algorithm thinks you want to see, and gradually you stop seeing everything else. The algorithm reinforces your existing preferences, narrows your world, shows you more of what you already like, and less of everything else. You become predictable to the algorithm, to yourself, watching, listening, consuming. Exactly what the algorithm knew you would. Fact 52. The server that never rests. Somewhere, right now, a server is running, serving web pages, processing requests, responding to queries. That server has been running for months, years, maybe decades, without stopping, without restarting, without sleeping. This is called uptime. The amount of time a server has been continuously operational. And for some servers, for critical servers, uptime is measured in years. 99.9% uptime. 99.99% uptime. These numbers sound similar, but they're very different. 99.9% uptime means the server is down for approximately 8 hours per year. 99.99% means less than 1 hour per year. 99.999%, called 5 nines, means about 5 minutes per year. 5 minutes in an entire year. That's extraordinary. That requires redundancy, backup systems, multiple power supplies, multiple network connections, careful planning, constant monitoring, because servers fail, hardware fails, hard drives wear out, power supplies break, networks become congested, software crashes, and when a server fails, websites become inaccessible. Services stop working, data becomes unreachable. People notice, people complain. So companies build systems that don't fail, or more accurately, systems where individual components can fail without the system failing. Redundancy, failover, backup servers that activate automatically when the primary server stops responding. The server you're connecting to right now might have been running for years, quietly, constantly, serving millions of requests, billions of requests, never sleeping, never resting, just present, available, waiting for the next request, the next query, the next connection, always on, always listening, always there. Fact 53, the cookie that remembers you. HTTP cookies are small pieces of data, text files, stored on your computer by websites. They remember things: your login status, your shopping cart, your preferences, your language, your location. Without cookies, every page load would be starting over. The website wouldn't remember you logged in, wouldn't remember what you put in your cart, wouldn't remember anything. Cookies make the web stateful, persistent. They create continuity across multiple page loads, multiple visits, multiple sessions. The first cookie was created in 1994 by Lou Montulli, a programmer at Netscape. He needed a way for websites to remember users, to maintain state, to create shopping carts that persisted. The name cookie comes from magic cookie, a computer science term for a small piece of data passed between programs. Why magic cookie was called that is lost to history, but the name stuck. Cookies can be helpful, necessary even. They let you stay logged in. Let websites remember your preferences. Let shopping carts function. But cookies can also track you, follow you across websites, build profiles of your behavior, your interests, your identity. Third-party cookies, cookies set by domains other than the one you're visiting, are used primarily for tracking, for advertising, for surveillance. You visit a website. That website includes content from an advertising network. The advertising network sets a cookie. You visit a different website. That website also includes content from the same advertising network. And the network knows you visited both sites, knows what you're interested in. Cookies are a memory, sometimes useful, sometimes invasive, always watching. Fact 54, the bandwidth that flows like water. Bandwidth is often described as the width of a pipe. More bandwidth means more data can flow through. At the same time, like a wider pipe, allowing more water. It's measured in bits per second, megabits, gigabits. How many ones and zeros can pass through the connection every second? Your home internet might be 100 megabits per second, 1 gigabit per second. That's fast, more than enough for streaming video calls, gaming, multiple devices all at once. But bandwidth isn't just about speed. It's about capacity, about how many people can use the connection simultaneously without slowing down. Imagine a highway, a narrow highway with one lane, can only handle a few cars at a time. Add more cars and traffic slows. Everyone moves slower, but a wide highway with 10 lanes can handle many more cars at the same speed. More capacity, more bandwidth. Data centers have enormous bandwidth, hundreds of gigabits per second, terabits per second, enough to serve millions of users, billions of requests, all simultaneously. And yet, bandwidth is always limited, always finite. There's always a maximum, a point where no more data can flow, where the pipe is full, where adding more just causes congestion. Internet service providers manage this carefully. Allocate bandwidth, prioritize certain types of traffic, throttle others, making sure the network doesn't become overwhelmed. Bandwidth flows, like water, through pipes, through cables, through the invisible infrastructure that connects us all. Fact 55, the quantum computer's different reality. Quantum computers don't work like regular computers. Regular computers use bits, ones and zeros, on or off, binary. Every calculation, every operation is built from these two states. But quantum computers use qubits, quantum bits, and qubits can be both 1 and 0 simultaneously. This is called superposition. It sounds impossible, contradictory, but at the quantum level, particles exist in multiple states until measured, until observed. Then they collapse into one state or the other. Quantum computers exploit this. A qubit can represent both possibilities at the same time. And when you have multiple qubits, the number of states grows exponentially. 2 qubits can represent 4 states simultaneously. 3 qubits, 8 states. 10 qubits, 1,024 states, all at once. This gives quantum computers enormous potential for certain types of problems that require checking many possibilities, many combinations, many paths, encryption breaking, molecular simulation, optimization problems, things that would take classical computers thousands of years, millions of years. But quantum computers are fragile. The qubits must be kept extremely cold, near absolute zero, isolated from all interference. Even the slightest vibration, the slightest heat, causes decoherence. The quantum states collapse. The calculation fails. And quantum computers can't do everything. They're not faster at regular computing, not better at word processing or web browsing or normal tasks. They're specialized, built for specific problems, specific calculations that exploit quantum weirdness. We're still learning how to build them, how to program them, how to use them, but they represent a different kind of thinking, a different kind of computation, not ones and zeros, but both, and neither, and everything in between. Fact 56, the compression that loses nothing. Some compression loses information, like JPEG, like MP3. They remove what they think you won't miss. But lossless compression removes nothing, keeps everything, preserves every detail, every bit, perfectly, and yet makes files smaller. How? By finding patterns, repetition, redundancy. Imagine a document that contains the word the 500 times. Instead of storing the 500 times, lossless compression stores it once. And then a note, a reference. Repeat this three-letter sequence 500 times. The information is the same, identical, but the storage is smaller. This is called encoding, finding efficient ways to represent the same information, using less space. Zip files use lossless compression. PNG images use lossless compression. FLAC audio files use lossless compression. You can compress them, extract them, compress them again, extract again, forever. And the data never changes, never degrades, always identical to the original. This is different from lossy compression, where each compression, each save, loses a little more, degrades a little more. Lossless compression is elegant, mathematical. It exploits redundancy, finds patterns in apparent randomness, reduces size without losing truth. But it has limits. Truly random data can't be compressed because there are no patterns, no repetition, no redundancy. And files compressed with lossless compression are larger than files compressed with lossy compression because perfection requires more space than approximation. Lossless compression doesn't ask, what can we remove? It asks, how can we describe this more efficiently? And the answer is always through patterns, through structure, through careful observation of what's already there. Fact 57, the latency that creates distance. Latency is delay, the time between action and response, request and reply. You click a button, the signal travels to the server processes, the server responds, the response travels back. You see the result. All of this takes time, milliseconds, but time nonetheless. Low latency feels instant, responsive, like the computer is listening, reacting immediately to your input. High latency feels sluggish, disconnected, like the computer is far away, thinking slowly, taking its time. Latency comes from distance, from processing time, from network congestion, from the speed of light itself. Light travels fast, but not infinitely fast. From New York to London is about 5,600 kilometers. Light, even traveling through fiber optic cables, takes about 19 milliseconds to cover that distance. One way, round trip, 38 milliseconds. Minimum, that's the latency imposed by distance. By physics, no amount of bandwidth, no amount of processing power can reduce that, can eliminate that. This is why online gaming servers are distributed geographically, why content delivery networks place servers all over the world, to reduce distance, to reduce latency. because latency creates the feeling of distance. Even when everything is connected, even when bandwidth is abundant, latency reminds us that information travels, takes time, crosses space. Even at the speed of light, even with the fastest networks, there is still delay, still distance between thought and response, between question and answer. Fact 58, the open source that belongs to everyone. Open source software has no owner, or rather, everyone is the owner. The code is public, available. Anyone can read it. Anyone can copy it. Anyone can modify it. Anyone can improve it. This seems impossible, contradictory. How can software be valuable if it's free, if anyone can take it, if there's no control? But open source works, thrives. Some of the most important software in the world is open source. Linux, the operating system that runs most of the internet, most smartphones, most servers, created by thousands of programmers, working together, contributing, improving. No one owns Linux. Everyone owns Linux. It belongs to the commons, the collective, and this creates something remarkable. Software that's more secure, because thousands of eyes can see the code, can find bugs, can identify vulnerabilities, can fix them. Software that's more reliable, because it's tested by millions of users, in countless different scenarios, different configurations, different environments. Software that's more innovative, because anyone can experiment, can try new ideas, can fork the code, create their own version without permission, without restriction. Open source is built on trust, on collaboration, on the belief that shared knowledge is stronger than proprietary knowledge, that many minds are better than one mind. It's the opposite of ownership, of control, of secrets. It's transparency, cooperation, community, and it powers most of the digital world, quietly, invisibly, freely. Fact 59, the blockchain that chains blocks. Blockchain is a ledger, a record, a list of transactions, but it's distributed, decentralized. No single entity controls it. No single server stores it. Instead, thousands of computers, all over the world, each one stores the entire ledger, the complete history, every transaction ever recorded. When someone adds a new transaction, a new entry, it's broadcast to all these computers. They verify it, check it against their copy of the ledger, and if it's valid, they accept it, add it to their ledger. The new entry is grouped with other entries into a block, and that block is linked to the previous block, using cryptography, using mathematical proofs, creating a chain, a blockchain. Each block references the previous block, depends on it. You cannot change an old entry without changing every block that came after it. And you cannot change those blocks without controlling more than half of all the computers in the network. This makes the blockchain tamper-proof, immutable, permanent. It was created for Bitcoin, for cryptocurrency, a way to track ownership without a central bank, without trust in any single institution. But blockchain has other uses: supply chain tracking, medical records, voting systems, any situation where you need a permanent record that no one can alter, that everyone can verify. It's slow, inefficient, uses enormous amounts of energy, because every computer has to process every transaction, verify every block. But it's also trustless. You don't need to trust the other participants. Don't need to trust a central authority. You just trust the mathematics, the cryptography, the consensus of thousands of distributed nodes. The chain grows, block by block, transaction by transaction, an ever-lengthening record of everything that was, and can never be erased. Fact 60, the render that paints reality. Rendering is the process of creating an image from data, from mathematical descriptions, from geometry and light. 3D graphics work by describing a scene, objects, surfaces, textures, lights, cameras, all defined mathematically, as coordinates, as vectors, as numbers. Then, the renderer calculates. For every pixel on your screen, It asks, what should this pixel show? What object is visible here? What color? What brightness? It traces rays of light, backward, from a camera, into the scene, bouncing off surfaces, reflecting, refracting, absorbing, scattering. Each pixel requires thousands of calculations. Millions. Your screen has millions of pixels, each one calculated, each frame. Video games render 60 frames per second, 60 complete images. Every second, millions of pixels, billions of calculations, all happening in real time, fast enough that you don't notice. Don't see the individual frames, just smooth motion. Movies render differently, not in real time. Each frame might take hours to render, days even, for complex scenes, for realistic lighting, for perfect detail. Pixar movies, special effects in Hollywood films. Each frame rendered on massive server farms. Thousands of computers working together, calculating light, calculating color, calculating reality, or the appearance of reality. Close enough that your brain accepts it, believes it, sees it as something that could be real. Rendering turns mathematics into images, numbers into light, data into the appearance of worlds. Fact 61. The registry that maps everything. The Windows registry is a database, a vast, hierarchical database containing settings, configurations, preferences for your operating system, for every program, for every detail. Thousands of entries, hundreds of thousands, nested in folders, subfolders, keys, and values. Each one controlling something, some small behavior, some hidden option, some consequence. Change one value, and a program behaves differently. Change another, and the entire system changes. Colors, fonts, startup behavior, network settings, everything traced back to entries in the registry. It's powerful, flexible, but also fragile, opaque, difficult to understand. Most users never see the registry, never need to. The operating system manages it. Programs write to it, read from it, automatically, invisibly, but sometimes something goes wrong. A corrupted entry, a missing key, a value that shouldn't be what it is, and the system behaves strangely. Programs crash, features stop working, errors appear with no clear explanation, and fixing it requires diving into the registry, searching through thousands of entries, finding the single entry that causing the problem, changing it, or deleting it, or hoping that's the right one. It's like a library where every book is important. But most books are written in code, in abbreviations, in references to other books. And one wrong book, one misplaced volume, can make the entire library incomprehensible. The registry remembers everything. Every program you've installed, every setting you've changed, every choice the system has made. It's the memory of the machine, complete, detailed, and sometimes overwhelming. Fact 62. The thread that thinks alongside. Your computer doesn't just think one thought at a time. It multitasks, runs multiple programs, multiple processes, seemingly simultaneously. But most processors have only a few cores. 4, 8, 16, not hundreds, not thousands. So how does your computer run hundreds of programs at once? Through threading, through time slicing, through rapid switching. Each program, each process gets a tiny slice of time. Milliseconds. The processor executes instructions for that program, then switches to another program, executes instructions for that one, then switches again, back and forth, round and round, so fast that it appears simultaneous. Appears like everything is happening at once. This is called context switching, and it happens thousands of times per second. The processor saves the state of one program, loads the state of another, executes, saves, loads, executes, over and over, endlessly. Each program thinks it has the processor's full attention, thinks it's the only thing running, but it's not. It's sharing with hundreds of others, each getting their moment, their slice of time. Threads within a program work the same way. One program can have multiple threads, multiple streams of execution, all sharing the same memory, the same resources, but doing different tasks. One thread handles the user interface. Another thread downloads data. Another thread processes that data, all seemingly at once, all coordinated, all sharing time on the processor. It's an illusion, a beautiful illusion, of parallel thought, of simultaneous action. But underneath, it's sequential, one instruction at a time, just very, very fast. Fast enough to seem instant, continuous, like the computer never stops, never waits, never rests. Fact 63, the Indianness that orders bytes. Computers store numbers as bytes, sequences of bytes. But there's a question, a fundamental question. Which byte comes first? This is called Indianness. Big Indian or Little Indian? Imagine the number 1234 in decimal, but computers store numbers in binary, hexadecimal, as multiple bytes. Big Indian stores the most significant byte first, like how we write numbers. The biggest part first, the thousands before the hundreds. Little Indian stores the least significant byte first, backward, the smallest part first. Why does this matter? Why have two different systems? Historical reasons. Different computer architectures made different choices. Intel processors use Little Indian. Many others use Big Indian. Some can switch between them, and it matters when computers talk to each other, when data is sent across a network, when files are shared between different systems. If one computer stores a number as Big Indian and another reads it as Little Indian, the number becomes wrong, completely wrong. The bytes are reversed. Network protocols specify use Big Indian, always. This is called network byte order. So computers must convert from their native Indianness to network byte order and back again. It's a tiny detail, an invisible detail, but crucial. The order of bytes determines the meaning of numbers, and the meaning of numbers determines everything else. Big Indian, Little Indian. Most people never think about it, never need to, but underneath, the computer is constantly ordering, reordering, converting, making sure the bytes make sense. Fact 64, the kernel that governs all. Deep inside your operating system, deeper than the programs you see, deeper than the desktop, is the kernel. The kernel is the core, the foundation, the part of the operating system that controls everything else. It manages memory, allocates it to programs, protects it, makes sure one program cannot access another program's memory, cannot interfere, cannot corrupt. It manages the processor, decides which program runs when, for how long, with what priority. It manages devices, hard drives, keyboards, mice, screens, network cards, everything. The kernel talks to hardware, translates requests from programs into commands the hardware understands. Programs don't talk to hardware directly. They can't. That would be dangerous, chaotic. One program could crash and take everything else down. Instead, programs ask the kernel, politely, through system calls. The program says, I need to read this file. I need to send this data. I need to draw on the screen. And the kernel considers the request, checks permissions, checks resources, and if everything is acceptable, the kernel does it on behalf of the program. The kernel is the gatekeeper, the arbiter, the protector. It runs in kernel mode, a special processor mode, with special privileges, with access to everything, while programs run in user mode, restricted, limited, safe. The kernel is invisible. You never see it, never interact with it directly, but it's always there, always running, always governing, maintaining order, preventing chaos, ensuring that all the programs running on your computer can coexist, can share resources, can function together. Without the kernel, there would be no operating system, just programs fighting for control, for memory, for the processor, for devices. The kernel prevents this, quietly, constantly, forever. Fact 65, the MAC address that never changes. Every network device, every network card, every Wi-Fi adapter has a MAC address. Media access control address, a unique identifier, 48 bits, usually written as 6 pairs of hexadecimal digits, like 00:1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E. This address is permanent, burned into the hardware, set by the manufacturer. It never changes, cannot be changed. Well, technically it can be spoofed, but the real address remains. MAC addresses are used at the lowest level of networking, the data link layer. When your computer sends data, it packages it with the destination MAC address. The router uses that address to deliver the data to the correct device. IP addresses, those change when you move, when you connect to a different network, when your router assigns you a new address. But your MAC address stays the same. This makes MAC addresses useful for identification, for tracking. Some networks use MAC addresses to control access. Only certain devices allowed. Only certain addresses permitted. Coffee shops, hotels, corporate networks. They see a MAC address. Remember it. Use it to know who you are, even if your IP address changes. The first 3 pairs of digits identify the manufacturer. Apple devices start with certain prefixes, Intel devices with others. You can look at a MAC address and know who made the hardware. The last 3 pairs are unique to the device, assigned sequentially, making every MAC address unique. Worldwide, no 2 devices should have the same MAC address. Should, usually don't, but occasionally mistakes happen. Duplicate addresses, and then strange network problems occur. Conflicts, confusion. Your MAC address is your device's fingerprint, unique, permanent, identifying you wherever you go. Fact 66. The virtual machine inside the machine. A virtual machine is a computer inside a computer. Software pretending to be hardware. An entire operating system running as a program inside another operating system. You can run Windows inside Linux, or Linux inside Windows, or Mac OS inside. Well, it's complicated with Mac OS, but the principle is the same. The virtual machine thinks it's a real computer, thinks it has a processor, memory, hard drive, network card, all of it, but it's simulated, emulated. The host computer is pretending. When a virtual machine tries to access the hard drive, the host intercepts, redirects, accesses a file instead. A file that represents a hard drive, contains all the data the virtual machine thinks is on its drive. When a virtual machine tries to use the processor, the host executes those instructions on the real processor, but carefully, isolated, so the virtual machine cannot affect the host. Virtual machines are useful, essential even, for testing, for running old software, for isolation, for security. You can run potentially dangerous software in a virtual machine. If it crashes, if it contains malware, if it does something destructive, it only affects the virtual machine, not the host, not your real computer. When you're done, you can delete the virtual machine completely, every trace gone, or you can save its state, pause it, resume later, the entire computer frozen in time. Save as files, a computer inside a computer, reality layered, nested, one system believing it's physical, while actually existing as data, as abstraction, as thought inside thought. Fact 67. The pointer that points to pointers. In programming, a pointer is a variable that contains an address, a memory address, the location where something else is stored. Instead of storing data directly, the pointer stores where to find the data. This seems indirect, complicated. Why not just store the data? Because pointers are powerful, flexible. They let you reference large amounts of data without copying it, without moving it. Just point to it. They let you create complex data structures, linked lists, trees, graphs, where each piece of data points to other pieces, creating connections, relationships, structure. But pointers can also point to other pointers, a pointer to a pointer, and that pointer can point to another pointer. Multiple levels of indirection, each one adding another layer, another step between you and the actual data. Why? Sometimes you need to modify what a pointer points to. And to do that from a function, you need a pointer to the pointer. It becomes abstract, conceptual. You're no longer dealing with data. You're dealing with references to references, addresses of addresses. And if you make a mistake, if a pointer is wrong, if it points to invalid memory, to memory that doesn't exist, or memory that belongs to something else, the program crashes. Segmentation fault, access violation. The operating system intervenes, terminates the program, protects the rest of the system from the pointer's mistake. Pointers are powerful, but dangerous. Modern programming languages try to hide them, manage them automatically, protect you from their complexity. But underneath, deep in the machine, everything is pointers, memory addresses, references, one thing pointing to another, creating the structure of thought. Fact 68. The garbage collection that cleans memory. Memory must be managed, allocated when needed, freed when no longer used. In some programming languages, you do this manually. You allocate memory, you use it, and when you're done, you free it. Explicitly, deliberately. But this is error-prone, difficult, easy to forget, easy to free memory too early while something is still using it, or too late, letting memory accumulate, leak, until the program runs out. So some languages use garbage collection, automatic memory management. The system watches, tracks which memory is still being used, which memory is abandoned, no longer referenced, no longer needed, and periodically, the garbage collector runs, scans memory, identifies garbage, memory that's allocated but unreachable. No variable points to it. No code can access it, and the garbage collector frees it, reclaims it, returns it to the pool of available memory. This happens automatically, invisibly, while your program runs. The garbage collector works in the background, during idle moments, or when memory gets low. You don't control when it runs, don't know when it runs. You just trust. Trust that the system will clean up, will free what's no longer needed. This makes programming easier, safer. You don't worry about memory. Don't track allocations. Don't manually free anything. You just use memory, and the garbage collector takes care of the rest. But it has costs, performance costs. The garbage collector takes time, takes processor cycles, pauses your program while it scans, while it cleans. And sometimes the garbage collector can't tell, can't determine if memory is truly garbage, if it's safe to free. So it keeps it, just in case, and memory accumulates anyway. Garbage collection is a compromise, safety and convenience for some loss of control, some loss of predictability. But for most programs, most of the time, it's worth it. The garbage collector works, quietly, patiently, cleaning up after us, so we don't have to. Remember, fact 69, the Boolean logic that decides everything. All computation, all digital logic reduces to Boolean algebra, true or false, 1 or 0, yes or no. Every decision a computer makes, every calculation, is built from simple Boolean operations. And, or, not, XOR, and true if both inputs are true, or true if either input is true. Not inverts the input. XOR, true if inputs are different. That's it, for basic operations. And from these, everything. Processors are made of logic gates, tiny circuits that implement these operations. And gates, or gates, not gates, millions of them, billions of them, connected together, layered, combined. From logic gates, you build more complex circuits, adders, multipliers, comparators, memory cells, everything constructed from Boolean logic. From circuits, you build processors. From processors, computers. From computers, the digital world. All of it, every bit of it is Boolean, binary, true or false, 1 or 0. Even when the computer displays colors, plays music, shows video, underneath, it's all Boolean operations. Millions of them, billions, trillions, every second, The complexity, the richness, the appearance of intelligence all emerge from simple decisions, repeated endlessly, combined infinitely. Boolean logic is the foundation, the bedrock, the simplest possible mathematics applied at impossible scale. True, false, and, or, not. From this, everything digital, everything computational, everything that computers are. Fact 70. The sleep mode that isn't really sleep. When your computer sleeps, it doesn't truly sleep. Not like biological sleep, not like rest. Sleep mode is suspended animation. The computer saves its current state, everything in memory, every open program, every document, every thought, and then it powers down, almost completely. The screen turns off, the fans stop, the hard drive spins down, but a small amount of power remains, keeping memory alive, keeping the save state intact. When you wake the computer, it resumes, instantly, or nearly instantly. Everything appears exactly as you left it. Programs still running, documents still open, tabs still there. It's not starting from scratch, not booting, just resuming, continuing. This is convenient, fast. You don't wait for the computer to start up. Don't wait for programs to reload. You just press a key, move the mouse, and you're back. But the computer is vulnerable, in sleep mode, still powered, still containing data. Someone could access it, extract memory, steal information, if they have physical access, if they know how. Hibernation is different, deeper. The computer saves its state to the hard drive, and then powers off completely. Truly off, no power, no vulnerability. But hibernation takes longer. To save, to restore, minutes instead of seconds. Most people use sleep mode. The convenience outweighs the risk, and modern computers encrypt memory, make it difficult to extract, difficult to steal thoughts from a sleeping machine. Still, sleep mode is a pause, not an ending. The computer waits, patient, ready to resume, at any moment, at a touch, never truly resting. Fact 71. The swap space that extends memory. Your computer has a limited amount of RAM. Physical memory, 8 gigabytes, 16, 32, whatever it has is finite. But sometimes the computer needs more. More memory than physically exists. More space for programs, for data, for thoughts. So the computer uses swap space, a portion of the hard drive, pretending to be memory. When RAM fills up, when there's no more room, the operating system looks for memory that hasn't been used recently. Memory that's just sitting there, inactive, forgotten. And it moves that memory to the hard drive, to the swap space, freeing up RAM for something more urgent, something currently needed. This is called swapping, or paging, moving pages of memory back and forth between RAM and disk. When a program tries to access memory that's been swapped out, the operating system intercepts, pauses the program, loads that memory back from disk, swaps something else out if necessary, and then lets the program continue. The program never knows, never realizes its memory was temporarily somewhere else. But swapping is slow, very slow. RAM operates in nanoseconds, hard drives in milliseconds. Even SSDs are hundreds of times slower than RAM. So when the computer starts swapping heavily, everything slows down. Programs freeze, cursor stutters, the hard drive light blinks constantly, thrashing, the computer struggling, moving memory back and forth, desperately trying to keep up. This is why more RAM helps, why it matters. Not because programs run faster, but because they don't have to swap, don't have to wait for the hard drive, don't have to pretend memory exists where it doesn't. Swap space is an illusion, a helpful illusion, extending memory beyond physical limits. But like all illusions, it comes at a cost measured in time, in waiting, in patience. Fact 72. The compiler that translates thought. Programming languages, the ones humans write, are not what computers understand. Humans write in high-level languages, Python, Java, C++, languages with words, with structure, with meaning that makes sense to us. But computers only understand machine code, binary instructions, raw numbers, opcodes, and operands. Add this to that. Move this here. Jump to there. So something must translate, must convert human-readable code into machine-executable instructions. That something is the compiler. You write your program in a language you understand, with variable names, with functions, with comments explaining what you're trying to do, and you compile it. The compiler reads your code, parses it, understands it, or tries to, checks for errors, for syntax mistakes, for impossible requests. And if your code is valid, the compiler translates it, transforms it into machine code, into the raw binary instructions the processor can execute. This translation is complex, sophisticated. The compiler doesn't just convert word for word. It optimizes, rearranges, finds more efficient ways to accomplish what you asked for. Your code might say, loop through this array, check each element. The compiler might recognize this pattern and replace it with a single, specialized instruction. Faster, more efficient. The compiler knows the processor better than you do, knows which instructions are fast, which are slow, how to arrange them for maximum performance. And when compilation is done, you have an executable, a program, binary code, ready to run, no longer readable by humans. Just numbers, instructions, the machine's language, your thoughts translated from human expression to machine execution through the compiler, the patient translator, the bridge between our world and theirs. Fact 73, the interrupt that demands attention. Your computer is processing, executing instructions, one after another, following its program, its sequence, and then something happens. External, unexpected, urgent. A key is pressed. The mouse moves. Data arrives over the network. The hard drive finishes reading. A timer expires. These events cannot wait, cannot be ignored. The processor must respond, must handle them immediately. So they trigger an interrupt. An interrupt is exactly what it sounds like. An interruption. The processor stops what it's doing, saves its current state, and jumps to an interrupt handler, a special piece of code designed to respond to that specific event. The handler processes the interrupt, reads the keystroke, moves the cursor, receives the network data, whatever is needed, and when it's done, the processor returns, restores its previous state, continues where it left off, as if nothing happened, as if there was no interruption. But there was a brief pause, a moment of attention redirected from the main task to the urgent request. Without interrupts, the processor would have to constantly check. Is there a keystroke? Has data arrived? Is anything waiting? Over and over, wasting time, wasting cycles. But with interrupts, the processor can focus, work uninterrupted until something demands attention, and then it responds immediately. Interrupts make computers responsive, reactive, able to handle events the moment they occur, rather than eventually, when the processor gets around to checking. The processor serves many masters, many sources of input, many devices, and interrupts let them speak, let them say now. Pay attention. This requires immediate handling, and the processor obeys, pauses, listens, responds, and then returns to its thoughts. Fact 74, the checksum that verifies truth. Data can be corrupted, changed, damaged during transmission, during storage, by errors, by interference, by accident. A single bit flips, a 0 becomes a 1 becomes a 0, and the data is wrong. How do we detect this? How do we know if what we received is what was sent, if what we read is what was written? Through checksums. Simple, elegant, mathematical. Before sending data, the sender calculates a checksum, a single number derived from all the data, by adding, by combining, by applying some mathematical function. The sender includes this checksum, sends it along with the data. The receiver performs the same calculation on the received data, calculates their own checksum, and compares. If the checksums match, the data is probably correct, unchanged, intact. If they don't match, something went wrong. The data was corrupted, altered, lost in transmission. Checksums don't correct errors, don't fix corruption. They just detect it, alert you, let you know something is wrong, and you can try again. Request retransmission. Verify from another source. Simple checksums, like adding all the bytes together, can detect simple errors. Single bit flips, small changes. More sophisticated checksums, CRC, cyclic redundancy checks, can detect complex errors. Multiple bit flips, burst errors, patterns of corruption. But no checksum is perfect. It's possible, though unlikely, for data to be corrupted in just the right way, that the checksum still matches, that the error goes undetected. Still, checksums work, most of the time, catch most errors, give us confidence that what we received is what was sent. That truth has been preserved through mathematics, through verification, through checking the sum. Fact 75, the hash that cannot be reversed. A hash function is one way. It takes input, any size, and produces output, a fixed size string, a hash. You can hash a single word, a document, an entire database. Always the output is the same size, 32 bytes, 64 bytes, fixed. And here's what's crucial, what's powerful. You cannot reverse it, cannot take the hash and determine the input. The hash reveals nothing about what was hashed. Two different inputs will produce different hashes. Almost certainly, the chance of two inputs producing the same hash, a collision, is astronomically small, effectively impossible. This makes hashes useful for many things. Password storage. Instead of storing your actual password, websites store a hash. When you log in, they hash what you typed and compare. If the hashes match, you enter the correct password, but they don't know your password. Don't store it, cannot retrieve it. If their database is stolen, the attacker gets hashes. Useless, cannot be reversed. Hashes are also used for integrity, for verification. Download a file, hash it, compare the hash to the official hash. If they match, the file is authentic, unchanged, not tampered with. Change even one bit of the input, and the hash changes completely, dramatically, unpredictably. This is called the avalanche effect. A tiny change avalanches into a completely different hash. Hashes create fingerprints, unique identifiers, for data, for files, for passwords, for anything, small, fixed size, one way, cannot be reversed, but incredibly useful, incredibly powerful. The hash knows what you gave it, but will never reveal. Fact 76, the executable that carries instructions. An executable file is a program, ready to run. Double-click it, and it executes. But what's inside? What makes it executable? Machine code, binary instructions, the same ones the processor understands, arranged in a specific format, a specific structure. The file begins with a header, metadata, information about the program, what type of processor it needs, what operating system, where to load it in memory, where execution should begin. Then sections, code sections containing instructions, data sections containing constants, variables, resources, relocation tables, symbol tables, import tables, information the operating system needs to load the program, to connect it to libraries, to resolve references, and then the instructions themselves. Thousands of them, millions, each one a simple operation. Add, compare, jump, move, but together they form behavior, functionality, purpose. When you run an executable, the operating system reads the header, understands the format, allocates memory, loads the sections into appropriate locations, resolves imports, connects to required libraries, and then starts execution, jumps to the entry point, the first instruction, and the processor begins following instructions, one by one, doing what the program tells it to do. The executable is frozen, static, unchanging, a snapshot of compiled thought. But when executed, it comes alive, becomes dynamic, becomes process, from file to thought, from storage to execution. The executable awakens. Fact 77. The metadata that describes data. Every file contains data. The content, the information you care about, the document, the image, the video. But files also contain metadata, data about the data, information describing the content. A photograph contains pixels, colors, the image itself, but also metadata. When was it taken? What camera? What settings? What location? GPS coordinates. Sometimes even the photographer's name. A document contains text, words, but also metadata. When was it created? When modified? Who authored it? How many revisions? What software created it? An audio file contains sound, waveforms, but also metadata. Artist, album, track number, genre, year, lyrics, album art. This metadata is usually invisible, hidden. You don't see it when you view the file, when you read the document, when you look at the photo, but it's there, embedded, carried along. And sometimes metadata reveals things you didn't intend to share. Your location when you took that photo, your name in that anonymous document, the history of edits, of changes, of revisions you thought were private. Metadata can be stripped, removed. Tools exist for this, for cleaning files, for removing the information about information. But most people don't think about metadata, don't realize it's there, don't consider what it reveals. The file is not just its content, it's also its history, its context, its origins, all carried silently, invisibly, in the metadata, data about data, information about information, the story behind the story. Fact 78. The race condition that creates chaos. Sometimes, in multi-threaded programs, two threads access the same data at the same time, almost the same time. Both threads read a value. Both intend to modify it. Both think they're working with the current value. Thread A reads, value is 10. Thread B reads, value is 10. Thread A calculates, 10 plus 1 equals 11. Thread B calculates, 10 plus 1 equals 11. Thread A writes, 11. Thread B writes, 11. The final value is 11, but two increments occurred. The value should be 12. One increment was lost, overwritten, because both threads read the original value before either wrote the updated value. This is a race condition. The threads race. The outcome depends on timing, on which thread executes when, on the unpredictable scheduling of the operating system. Run the program again, and the result might be different. Sometimes 11, sometimes 12. Inconsistent, unpredictable, wrong. Race conditions are subtle, difficult to detect, difficult to reproduce. They depend on timing, on specific circumstances, on luck. The program might work perfectly for hours, days, months, and then once, under just the right conditions, the race occurs. The data corrupts. The program fails. To prevent race conditions, threads must coordinate. Use locks, mutexes, semaphores, mechanisms that say, only one thread at a time. Wait your turn. Don't race. Thread A locks the data, reads, modifies, writes, unlocks. Only then can thread B proceed. Slower, more careful, but correct, consistent, predictable. Without coordination, threads race. And in a race, sometimes everyone loses. Fact 79. The buffer that smooths the flow. Data flows at different speeds, different rates. The hard drive reads slowly. The processor consumes quickly. The network sends in bursts. Uneven, irregular. To smooth this flow, to handle these differences, computers use buffers. A buffer is temporary storage, a waiting area. Data arrives. The buffer holds it until something is ready to consume it, process it, use it. Streaming video uses buffers. The video downloads faster than you watch it. the buffer fills, stores several seconds, several minutes, ahead of where you are. If the network slows, if download speed drops, you keep watching. The buffer provides, smooths over the interruption, until it runs out, until you see the spinning icon. Buffering, waiting for more data. Audio uses buffers. Samples arrive from a file, from the network. The buffer collects them, feeds them to the sound card, at a constant rate, a smooth rate, preventing gaps, preventing stuttering. Even text input uses buffers. You type, the characters enter a buffer. The program reads from the buffer, at its own pace. You don't wait for the program. The program doesn't wait for you. The buffer mediates. Buffers add latency, add delay. The data waits in the buffer, before being processed, before being used. But they also add resilience, smoothness. They handle mismatches between speeds, between rates, between sources and consumers. The buffer is patient, holds data, releases it at the right time, at the right rate, ensuring flow, ensuring continuity. Fact 80. The sandbox that contains danger. A sandbox in computing is an isolated environment, a contained space where programs can run without affecting anything else. Web browsers use sandboxes. Each tab is sandboxed. If one tab crashes, if a website contains malicious code, it cannot escape, cannot affect other tabs, cannot access your files, cannot spread. The sandbox contains it, limits it, provides fake resources, fake file systems, fake network access. The program thinks it has access, thinks it can do things, but it can't. Not really. Mobile apps run in sandboxes. Each app, isolated from others, cannot access another app's data, cannot see what other apps are doing, cannot interfere. This protects you, protects your system. Even if an app is malicious, even if it tries to steal data, the sandbox prevents it, confines it, keeps it separate. Sandboxes are like playgrounds, safe spaces, where programs can do almost anything, without consequences, without risk, without affecting the real world. Developers use sandboxes to test dangerous code, to experiment, to try things that might break something, crash something, without worrying. Because in the sandbox, nothing permanent is at risk. If something goes wrong, delete the sandbox. Start over. Fresh, clean, no damage done. Sandboxes create safety through isolation, through containment, through artificial boundaries that cannot be crossed. The program plays, explores, acts freely, but never escapes, never touches what matters. Fact 81. The daemon that serves in silence. In Unix systems, in Linux, in Mac OS, there are programs called daemons. Not demons, demons, spelled differently, meaning something different. A helpful spirit, a background presence, a servant that works unseen. Daemons are programs that run constantly, in the background, without windows, without user interface, without visibility. They perform services, essential services. They listen for network connections, manage print jobs, monitor system health, update time, check for mail, schedule tasks, handle logging. All of this invisible, silent, continuous. You don't start daemons manually. Don't interact with them directly. They start when the system boots and run until the system shuts down. Hours, days, weeks, months, years, always present, always ready, always serving. The name daemon comes from Maxwell's daemon, a thought experiment in thermodynamics, an imaginary being that could violate the second law of thermodynamics by assorting molecules. Fast ones here, slow ones there. Computer daemons don't violate physical laws, but they do sort, manage, organize, work tirelessly in the background, maintaining order, maintaining function. You benefit from daemons constantly. Every network connection, every scheduled backup, every system log, every automatic update check. Daemons doing their work, their silent work. They are the invisible servants, the background processes, the quiet workers that make the system function without fanfare, without recognition, without rest, always there, always working, always demon. Fact 82. The bit rot that isn't really rot. Bit rot sounds biological, organic, like decay, like entropy claiming what was once whole. And in a way, it is, but not literally. Bits don't rot. Data doesn't decompose, not like organic matter, but storage media degrades. Hard drives develop bad sectors. Magnetic fields weaken. Flash memory loses charge. CDs develop scratches. Oxidation. The physical substrate deteriorates. And as it does, data becomes unreachable, unreadable, corrupted. The ones and zeros still there perhaps, but inaccessible, lost. This is bit rot, not the data changing, but the medium failing, the storage forgetting. It happens slowly, gradually. A bad sector here, a corrupted file there. You might not notice, not for years, until you try to access that old file, that old photo, that old document, and it won't open, can't be read, is gone. Bit rot affects all storage, all media, magnetic, optical, solid state. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing preserves perfectly. Everything eventually fails. The solution is redundancy. Multiple copies, on different media, in different locations, and verification. Checking, reading files periodically, ensuring they're still intact, still readable. And if corruption is detected, restoring from another copy, another backup, before all copies succumb. Digital preservation is active, requires effort, requires attention, requires copying data to new media, newer formats, newer technologies, before the old media fails completely. Bit rot reminds us that digital is not permanent, not eternal. Data requires maintenance, care, protection against the slow, inevitable decay. Fact 83. The shell that interprets commands. Before graphical interfaces, before windows and icons and mice, there was a shell, a text interface, a command line, a prompt, waiting for you to type a command. And you would type simple commands, list files, copy file, delete file, run program. Each one, just a few characters, a few words. Press enter, and the shell interprets, understands, executes, shows the result as text, simple, direct. The shell is still there, on every computer, hidden beneath the graphical interface, accessible if you know where to look, how to invoke it. And for some tasks, the shell is faster, more powerful, more flexible. You can automate, write scripts, chain commands together, make one command's output become another command's input. Pipes, redirects, variables, logic. The shell is a programming language, simple but complete, capable of expressing complex ideas. Experienced users prefer the shell for certain tasks, for system administration, for batch processing, for precision and control, because graphical interfaces hide complexity, simplify, make things accessible, but also limiting. You can only do what the interface allows, what the designers anticipated. The shell has no such limits. Every command, every option, every possibility, available. If you know the syntax, if you speak the language, the shell is direct, unmediated, raw, communication with the operating system, without translation, without interpretation beyond the shell itself. Type a command, see the result. Nothing more, nothing less. Just input and output, text flowing, thoughts expressed as commands. Fact 84. The instruction pipeline that flows like water. Modern processors don't execute instructions one at a time, start to finish, then the next, then the next. They pipeline, break each instruction into stages. Fetch, decode, execute, memory access, write back, and they overlap these stages. While one instruction executes, another decodes, another fetches, all happening simultaneously. Different stages of different instructions progressing together. Like an assembly line, a factory, each station doing its part, parts moving through, continuously. No station idle, no wasted time. This is instruction pipelining, and it dramatically increases throughput, the number of instructions completed per unit time. Even though each instruction takes the same time, multiple clock cycles to complete, many instructions are in progress simultaneously. The pipeline stays full, flowing, but pipelines can stall, can stop flowing. If an instruction depends on the result of the previous instruction, it must wait. The pipeline bubbles, empties partially, efficiency drops, branch prediction helps. The processor guesses. If this condition is true, execution will go this way. Start fetching instructions from there. Fill the pipeline speculatively. If the guess is correct, no delay. The pipeline continues. But if wrong, the pipeline must flush. Discard the wrong instructions. Start over. Penalty. Modern processors are good at predicting. Very good, but not perfect. Mispredictions still occur. And when they do, the pipeline stutters. Still, pipelining works. Increases performance dramatically. Instructions flowing through stages. Overlapping. Progressing. Water through aqueducts. Continuous. Purposeful. Efficient. The pipeline flows. Fact 85. The network stack that layers meaning. Network communication is layered. Abstract. Each layer serving a different purpose. Each layer built on the layer below. At the bottom, the physical layer. Actual electrical signals. Light pulses. Radio waves. Bits transmitted as physical phenomena. Above that, the data link layer. Organizing bits into frames. Adding MAC addresses. Error detection. Making sure what's sent is what's received. On a single network segment. Above that, the network layer. IP addresses. Routing. Moving data across multiple networks. Across the internet. From source to destination. Through intermediate routers. Finding paths. Above that, the transport layer. TCP or UDP. Reliability. Ordering. Making sure data arrives correctly. In sequence. Or accepting that some might be lost, depending on needs. And above that, the application layer. HTTP, FTP, SMTP, DNS, the protocols you actually use. Web browsing, email, file transfer, name resolution. Each layer speaks to its corresponding layer on the other computer. The application layer on your computer communicates with the application layer on the server. Not directly, but conceptually. The data passes down through your layers, being wrapped, encapsulated, each layer adding headers, adding information, then across the physical network, through cables, through air, through infrastructure, and up through the layers on the other side. Each layer unwrapping, processing its headers, passing the data upward, until finally, the application receives it. Clean, simple, as if it came directly. As if all the layers didn't exist. Abstraction, separation of concerns. Each layer doing its job, without knowing, without caring, about the layers above or below. The network stack, 7 layers, or 4, depending on the model, but always layered, always building complexity from simplicity, building meaning from signals. Fact 86, the silence that follows. And now, we've reached the end. 86 facts. The computers around you continue. Processing, calculating, thinking their silent thoughts, executing billions of instructions. Every second, without pause, without rest. But you can rest. Should rest. The facts have been told. The story shared. The quiet engineering explained. You don't need to remember. Don't need to hold on to these facts. They were just companions for this journey, this slow descent into stillness. Into sleep. The computers will be here tomorrow, still processing, still calculating, still serving. But for now, let them fade. Let the ones and zeros blur. Let the calculations continue without you, without your attention, without your consciousness. You've heard about memory, about processors, about networks, about protocols, about all the invisible machinery that makes the digital world function. Now, let your own memory rest. Let your own processor slow. Let your own network of thoughts quiet. The computer sleeps by stopping, by saving state, by waiting, but you sleep differently. Not by stopping, but by releasing, by letting go, by allowing thoughts to drift like data through a network, arriving, fading. No need to follow them. No need to track them. No need to process them. Just rest in the quiet knowledge that somewhere electrons flow, bits flip, memories persist, programs execute. The digital world continues. It's silent work. It's patient calculations. It's endless service. But you are allowed to stop, to rest, to sleep. The computers will maintain their vigil. We'll keep their watch. We'll continue without you. Sleep now. The quiet engineer has finished. The facts have been told. The ones and zeros have become everything, and everything can wait. Until morning, until waking, until later. Rest. Sleep. Let the quiet deepen. Let the silence hold you. Let the digital world continue its work while you finally, peacefully rest. Good night.